tell you this, the one thing you notice after shaving your head is it gets cold in the winter. I only had a very short amount of hair before, but it makes a huge difference. In the cold, it's like, it's freezing. Never used to wear beanies and stuff, but I'm that guy now. So, let's do it. Off to the gym, training legs today. Still not, the back's still coming right. It's going to be a bit of a process with physio, but it's come a long way, so that'll be good. So yesterday was Tuesday, so that yesterday was the first time I sent a bunch of cold emails to potential customers, and not much to report yet. There were a lot of people opened the emails and a few people clicked on the links, and you can see that with the tracking, and so that's promising. So now I know that people have read it, some people have clicked through, so they'll know, they might now have a bit more of an idea about what the company does. So I'll follow up with those people in 3 or 4 days and try and get them on a call, and from there go through the process. And yesterday I did have one sales call which was exciting, with a big dealership in the South Island, and that came through a referral a few months ago, but back at the time we weren't ready, whereas we're ready now. So that went good. They're going to start a free trial and we'll see how that goes. So getting off the ground, it's going to be a lot harder than, I always thought it was going to be really hard, but it is always a little bit disappointing when you realise you were right. So I've only spent a day of marketing, so I can't really count my chickens yet, if that's the right term. So we'll see. Contact a few more businesses today. I'll start ramping that up, really get the word out there, and we'll see how we go. On the other hand, running a second business at the same time is not super helpful. It keeps me really busy, but I really do like business, so it's not that I dislike running two businesses, it's just it limits my time to spend on one or the other. But my original business, Navecta, is definitely going to be more of a longer, slow burn. All the numbers and stuff are stacking up to show that it's going to be really good. It's just taking that time. It's a really big trust thing with consumers, with portfolio tracking. Because back in the early days, like a few years ago, there were a couple of bugs, and so somebody would get their trade data in and suddenly the numbers were slightly off, or even if it's only off by a little bit, like a rounding issue. One little problem destroys their trust in the whole product. And calculating performance for stocks is very complicated. So it's like there's so many things that could go wrong, and it took a couple of years to get all of that code right. And now it's really solid. So the last couple of years is where we've really bedded in that reputation that this is a solid product you can use to do your performance tracking, do your tax reporting here in Australia. And so I think we're getting to the point where that slow burn is going to start burning quicker. But the reason I've done the second business is because not only is it a really good opportunity, but it has the potential to earn earn money a lot quicker than Navexa. And I have to take my personal situation into account as well. Rising interest rates, mortgage, all of that good stuff. I have to take that into account as well. So the second business is really important to get me that cash flow so that I can continue with Navexa. Because that's what people don't realize about, and I've talked about this before, but running a portfolio tracker is outrageously expensive compared to what you think when you first start. And so while I've got a bunch of customers and it does more revenue than most startups will ever do, because 90% of startups, I think the stat is like 90% never even make $1. So we're way past that goal. But it's still not good enough to kind of pay for all the people it needs to really start expanding. And so the whole time I've been building Navexa, I've been funding it from other businesses, essentially not funding it, but funding myself from other businesses so that I can keep feeding the revenue Navexa earns back into building it more. And that's a real headache with portfolio trackers, which is why I suspect there's not that many out there, because they're an absolute nightmare to kind of get running well. But I love it, so I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to outlast. So at the gym, talk to you afterwards. Alright, we made it to the other side. Let's get out of here. Turn that off. So, session went pretty well. Can't do a bunch of exercises because of my sore back when it comes to legs at the moment, so I just had to do a ton of sets on 2 exercises, which is pretty effective and it's something different, which is good. But we're off home now. Ooh. So I'm going to get home. I'm going to send a bunch of emails to various businesses. I've got a bit of support to do on Navexa, which is good. There's a couple of good fixes in there, which is nice. I don't mind doing support when somebody uncovers a bug that affects a lot of people. And while I hate that there is a bug that affects a lot of people, it's way better than working on the support tickets where it's like it affects just one person. Because you can spend like a half a day or a whole day fixing someone's issue, and it's good for them, but I like, as I say, those high leverage activities. One fix makes a ton of people happy. So there's a couple of those that affect like not lots of people, but a bunch of people, which is going to be good. So I'm getting there, fix them, and then I'm still just largely scheming on how to get to my target customer effectively. There's always the option of partnerships with other businesses, but that involves selling equity in the business, which can be tricky because, especially, I've only ever partnered with people so far that I've known. So like my co-founder Tom for Navexa is my stepbrother. I've known him since I was a child. My other business, my co-founder was my other brother Xavier, so I've known him forever. And these people are people I know and can trust. Whereas partnering with a company in New Zealand who I've never met and know nothing about, there's just a lot of risk in that, because I don't know what the people are like, what their style is, if they're going to be all over me or if they're going to leave me alone. It's really tricky to do partnerships. So that's always an option, and there's a few people who want to buy into the business. So it's a good sign. But I'm not ready for that yet, unless the right partnership offer comes along. So then my other angles, you've got the usual, you've got paid ads, which I don't know how effective that'll be, because it's really tricky to target, these days anyway, target a really specific type of person. So back in the day with Facebook and with LinkedIn, you could get really granular targeting. You could get the targeting so narrow, you could literally target a single person if you wanted to. But people didn't like having hyper personalized ads, which is funny because as a consumer, I get it. But as an advertiser, I would love to have that feature. Because basically what people were doing is you could find a particular company and you're like, I want to target the CEO of that company. And you could put in enough targeting parameters that essentially you'd only display ads to that particular person. So you could have an ad that was like, hi Bob, and that kind of freaked people out. But it was also, if you did the right ad, was super effective. Because imagine if you were scrolling and something was like, hi Navar, I see you're using XYZ software, and you're like, I am. And they're like, we've got a much better alternative, or whatever that's a crappy ad, but whatever the ad is, if it was well targeted at the right time, you'd be like, damn, I've got to click on this. They obviously have gone to a lot of effort to impress me. But can't do that anymore. So there are ways doing paid ads. Then there's like display ads. There's a few kind of niche industry websites you can get banner ads onto. Then there's the cold outreach, which is what I'm doing at the moment, which is where you essentially send an email or knock on the door or call them up. And then the most effective one is referrals. So when someone you know refers you to something, you're more likely to trust that, because you're like, well, they wouldn't tell me about it if they didn't think it was good. And so far my initial customers have come from referrals. But referrals are tricky in itself, because often the people who know the people you want to be referred are competitors, and they don't necessarily want to recommend the thing they're using to get a competitive advantage. So referrals gets tricky, but I think there's an avenue there that I can use. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. More marketing, getting that skill, putting in the sets, putting in the reps. Pulling up at home now. So as always, work on high leverage activities, things that affect, you do one thing, it affects multiple people in a good way. Try and avoid those things, and this is again a note to self, you don't have to listen to me, but don't do things where possible that only benefit a single person, or if it just benefits yourself, it's no good. But on that note, get after it.